That's better.
Yeah.
That's better. Oh, wait for people to join. Bing bong.
It'll show me on there, but
that's all right. All right. Anybody other than you?
no.
Okay. We'll wait a little bit here.
Wait just a little. 5-10 minutes. Did your mic stop working again?
No, so when I was using it at the whole pack race, it ran out of charge. But for some reason, the second mic wasn't charged.
Okay.
So I don't know. And they're not. Well, no, they should be charged.
Yeah.
If you want to use it.
Yeah. Because that's pretty echoey.
Yeah, it is. Oh, you're using my charger now. Okay.
And we're on.
That's better.
Much better.
Okay. That's better.
Much better. I think I can get us both.
Yeah, I think one mic will be all right.
I think I can get us both.
Yeah, I think one mic will be all right.
I'll even
There
do
you go.
this.
That'll work.
It'll catch us both. Dude, get out from behind me, dude. It'll catch us both. Dude, get out from behind me, dude. It's catching my phone at the same time.
Good.
So we know the volume's good, so
Yeah.
I'm gonna turn that off.
Dang it. Why did you? Why are you bringing shit up?
Dad? What's the red mean?
It means it's not charging.
All right.
Which one did you grab?
It stayed over here.
Yeah, it might be an issue. Try this one. Try the front one.
Sorry about that,
Oh,
folks.
21 people. Hi, everybody. Now that we got some people here, we'll start talking.
Yes. Welcome to the first edition of the Idler Gear Hour. What you guys should have seen on YouTube Live.
Yep.
Before you went on and punched. This is our newly rebranded version of the live Q&As.
So it'll be known as the Idler Gear Hour from now on. And it doesn't mean that it's only going to be an hour. It could be longer, but it's definitely going to be at least an hour.
Right. So that's where we've named it, is the Idler Gear Hour, after we came up with it, and nobody contributed, but that's fine.
That's fine. We had the idea ourselves, so look at RC's comment.
Very nice. Today's topic is going to be on the Hopra Nationals.
Yeah, we thought we understand that it's still going on today, but the majority has been run. What I was looking at there was a comment from RC Lincoln from Wizard. They had 71 entries for the T-Jet, which is basically freight cars. They call it vintage T-Jet, but it's basically a freight car. It says, at the Nationals, the freight style cars, we believe this is the fastest growing class in America, which you think about it, I mean, you got the Fray, you've got the Ohio Cup, you've got the Nationals, and then you've got
T-Jets and the Tundra.
The T-Jets and the Tundra. So it is probably the most run class across the United States.
Yeah, with how they drive beautifully, and then the amount of tuning that you have to put into them. It's a driver's and a builder's car.
Yeah.
So it tends to attract a lot of those guys that like the challenge of the tuning, because it's not just your driving that you're proclaiming when you put a car on the track, it's your building too.
Yeah, it's your building
and that
too.
that adds to your prestige in the community.
Yeah, if you guys haven't liked the Hopra page on Facebook, go like it. They're still showing. There's lives currently going right now.
Yeah.
There's one an hour ago, which is Amateur Superstock. Which is I think that one is still currently live, and then 9 hours ago was the Pro Stock, Super Stock, both Pro and Am happened earlier today, so go check that out. They're Ohio's, is that Central or is that East?
Ohio?
Yeah,
that's East.
Is it East Coast time? So they're 3 hours ahead of us. So, yeah.
Hello, John. Good to see you.
So, but on the topic of Fray, like, oh, no, that's not it. That, come on. RC was talking about it. They had 71 entries, which is the biggest total I saw for classes for Hopra. 71 cars total. Big field. Jeff Kratz, who we know from the St. Louis guys, was top qualifier. He didn't make the main though. But
that's unfortunate. Seeing how he won the Fray this year.
Yeah. You win if you win the class at the Nationals. You can call yourself national champ. So technically, the T-Jet national champ is Corey Glover. He was first. RC Lincoln was second. Kennott was third. John, LaPero Jr. How do we pronounce that? LaPresto Jr. was fourth, and fifth was Joel Lux. It was top lap total was 190 laps, and they did run 3-minute heats because I was watching it when they were running it. But
congratulations to RC for doing better at the Nationals than you seem to do at the Fray.
Yeah, because he got fifth at the Fray or fourth at the Fray.
I can't
remember which.
I don't think he made the A this year, did he?
No, he did.
He did?
He did. Okay. He made the A.
Yeah, well, that's right. He consistently makes the A and then botches it in the end. Love you, brother.
Yeah.
It happens.
Some other notables that we know, Mr. Michael Paulus, the Wizard car builder, was 7th. Kratz ended up 9th. Who we know? Jeff Collins, who we know, finished 30th. And then another one we know, which was Billy. How do you know? Billy Moffine, I think is how she pronounces her last name, was 57th. Okay. But 71 cars total. That's
very
a
big
good
entry. And that's just, if you do the math there, you realize how many people around the country race Fray cars with the totals we had at the Fray and the totals that are here. Most of these guys that are here don't ever make it out.
No, so this doesn't, because a lot of the West Coast guys don't go to the Nationals, so
there's a lot of West Coast guys that don't go to the Nationals, and there's a lot of East Coast national guys that don't come to the Fray.
It would be cool to be able to put both sides together.
Oh, it would be a huge field.
That would be interesting.
The amount of competition would be insane.
Yeah, because you're like 5 people out of those 70 that we see at the Fray every year. Or actually 4 that we see every year. And even Schmidt wasn't there this year. Schmidt usually attends the...
Yeah, well, there was one other person there.
Well, John Bender, but we
John
were...
Baylor,
but we're not... Yeah, we were going to skip John, but...
Yeah, especially after what happened at the Fray this year.
Yeah,
we won't get into that.
We won't get into that whole topic, but It was it would be interesting to put a race together close enough between the both of them
that we would get all those guys together
in one spot to have. Because I mean, we had 83 in the individual at the fray this year. Was it 83 or 85, something like that?
No, less than that. I think it was in the 70s.
Was it in the 70s?
I think
Well,
it
still,
was in the 70s.
take it
But
out.
still, 70, that's 140.
So you take those, you go 65 of these guys and the 70 from the fray, you're looking at almost 200 guys.
Almost 150.
Almost 150
Almost
racers
150
for fray.
For fray. I mean, that's just the fray field.
And that's just the people that make both those races. I know there's still other fray people out there that
aren't able to attend both.
Yeah, so that is a huge field.
When you look at numbers like this, numbers at the fray, and then if we bother to go through some of the other classes and see names that don't race the fray cars, I mean, you put all of that together, combined with all the groups that we know that aren't able to attend the large races, you really start to realize that HO racing in America is quite healthy.
It is. And it seems to be growing. There seems to be a good sign that it's not growing huge, but it does have it seems to have a steady growth. And it's not speeding up, it's not slowing down, but it seems to be staying constant. So that's a good indicator for the hobby that there's some good growth there going on in the HO world. I know there's a lot of growth on the 32nd scale side as well, but it seems to be HO seems to be keeping a pace right along with them, so it's a good sign.
Yeah, most definitely. It is all HO racing, John, at the Hooper Nationals.
Yeah, it's all HO. There's really high, really fast car. You got a Neo Magnet class. You got a super, the one that's going on right now, which is super modified. There's a gravity class. There's and then there is stock, which would be like a stock Viper or a stock BSRT kind of thing. They have a Mega G race for then I think that's a completely stock Mega G. So and they got I think at least 10 classes probably total.
Oh man, so they've
got quite a bit. And this has been going on since Monday because I think they started practice on Monday. They started qualifying on Tuesday, and then they started racing Wednesday, and they're still racing.
Wow, so, that's awesome. That's a big show.
It's a good week-long endeavor. So especially if you're doing more than one or two, even more than two classes.
Yeah.
So it'd be kind of good. That's something we want to get to one day. Be able to get there and do that race at least once in our life.
Oh, most definitely.
Hopefully we can get there or maybe even a couple of times. We'd like to take you guys there and do some lives and stuff. They're the stream that they're doing on Facebook. They're not doing it on. They need to do it on YouTube too, but they're only doing it on Facebook on their YouTube page. But it seems to be a good. They either got one track or split screens between two tracks, and it looks pretty good. I mean, if you put it on your TV, you'd be able to see it pretty good.
Oh yeah, the camera quality is excellent.
Yeah, so and you're inside a hotel. So this year it's being held at a hotel in Columbus, Ohio. So you've got their Wi-Fi you can use. So
yeah, most definitely.
It's probably a pretty good setup. But that would be kind of cool to go to that race one of these times. RC did fairly well. I think he made the main, and at least from what I saw, at least 4 or 5 classes. I saw him in the main in gravity. I think he made the main, and he doesn't run Neo. I know that.
Now, gravity class, that's very similar to what we're running.
I think so. But from what I saw pictures of, they don't look anything like it. But that could have just been that particular make. I don't know the full rules on gravity. I'd like to think it's kind of like what we're running.
Right. It's a non-magnet.
It's a non-traction magnet. Class.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it also looks like the cars might be more like a brass pan. Gravity, but with plastic chassis, not brass chassis, kind of thing. Because there was a picture. Oh, it's not on here. It was on the Columbus. It was on the Columbus site for theirs, they showed a picture of the Bulldog ones, and they were like turned upside down, and they were like a 3D printed plastic kind of chassis. And one of them, you looked like it had a Sidewinder style can motor in it.
Gotcha. Okay. Interesting.
So yeah, so I don't know if that's just that particular make, or if you can use other ones. It'd be nice to get there for you guys and be able to show you the rules and stuff for those.
Participate ourselves.
Yeah, participate ourselves and get to know
definitely
what they run a lot more, because we've kind of found out that the East Coast runs a particular sets of rules, because most East Coast groups are associated with Opera, so they run their rules. Where out west, we're kind of a hodgepodge group out here.
Yeah, it very much goes along the notion with Wild West.
Yeah.
The fact that there's multiple groups scattered all over the West that have their own rule sets.
Yeah.
Whereas, and it just, I think the biggest reason for that is the fact that on the East Coast, towns are so much closer together.
That's true.
That it's nothing for people to travel half an hour, 15 minutes, and they're in another town to participate with that group, maybe.
Where
out here, each town is 30, 45 minutes apart. I mean, we're 30 minutes from Sunnyside. It's the closest next town.
Yeah.
Because Sela's kind of a part of
town.
Keena's
kind of more of a suburb of here.
But, and so I think that contributes to that, and the fact that everything is so much closer that they might as well run.
Yeah, because if you go like where we're at, major town, we're 2 hours from Seattle, we're 3 hours from Portland, we're 3 hours from Spokane. So
right, and the biggest, in my opinion, the biggest consistent group here on the West Coast is Hopac.
Yeah,
but like we said, we're so isolated from each other that there's no sense in us just running their cars, because they hardly ever get out to race with us.
Yeah.
And so you end up having hodgepodge, individualized
like
groups.
Tozar and our group, and
and
we have our own. Some of it kind of mixes from time to time.
Now that we're, with the advancement of technology, we're more connected than ever. So, so we do mix it a little bit.
Yeah, so we can have classes for those guys to go over and run.
In the case of, but in most cases, we're on our own.
Yeah, so, but I do notice that a lot of groups, especially California, run freight cars. We run freight cars. They run a class of freight cars, and the South Dakota boys run a freight car. Yeah. So there's freight still seems to be a constant throughout groups.
It's a bit of a universal language for HO racing.
Yeah, so
if you will.
It's kind of a set thing where when you get outside of that, it's just kind of a hodgepodge, whether you're running. And a lot of groups I notice out west try and stick with stock stuff, so it's easier for people to have, where Hopra is a very tune and a very build kind of an organization.
Yeah.
Where you don't have a lot of box stock. You have a couple box stock classes, but it's still, Viper, Storms.
Right.
That's
still some high-end stuff.
High-end stuff, yeah. So,
most definitely.
Yeah. So that's why they call themselves the HO Pro Racing Association. So.
Well, they've been around for a while, so...
Yeah, they've been around, sir, because this is the 50th running of the Hoppa Nationals,
So, yeah, there you go.
It's been around for a while.
And you've got... it's cool to see some of the guys we know there competing. Good to see RC do so good in the freight class. I would say bring some West Coast fire, but he's not from the West Coast.
Yeah, no, he...
But, I think the West Coast does have something to show them.
Oh, yeah, we do. There. Especially, you and Shaden and Aiden. The way Aiden's coming along, Aiden's going to be... He's going to be a good racer.
Rising star.
And then, of course, there are a lot of the guys in the California area. Mitch Vader's a really good racer.
Oh, yeah.
I can't think of his name now.
Yeah.
But a bunch of them down there are really good freight racers, too. So it'd be kind of cool to get everybody together in one spot for like a freight world championship or something. Would be really cool.
Yeah, somewhere in the middle.
somewhere between both
You
east
know,
and west.
and if I'm being honest, I think South Dakota is a perfect place to do it.
That is kind of 50-50, and they've got the tracks to be able to do
And
it.
they've got the tracks to be able to host it. They've got a routed tub track. They've got
a lot of tracks, a couple of tracks. Yeah.
I think it'd be a perfect place to get everyone in one spot and really, really, truly crown a national HO
a national HO freight champ. Yeah, that would be really cool.
But
yeah, that would be. I think that would be something really cool.
Good to see. Good to see the healthy count.
Yeah, it is good to see the healthy count.
It's good to see the healthy count, and not just the freight class. It's cool to see such a healthy freight class count. But you look at the other counts and the other classes, and they're still decent.
They're still decent. The higher you go, they get kind of smaller, but most of them are right around 50 to 60 guys. So it's pretty consistent all throughout. I noticed that like the super modified and that have less people, but to me, those are a younger class for younger people who actually still have good eyesight. They have good eyesight because those cars are. If you guys go on there and watch those, like the Neo Magnet Car one or the Super Modified, those things are so quick. It's not even funny. No, I mean those things are fast.
Yeah, it's good. We talk a lot on the channel about the worry for the hobby's continuation in the younger generation.
Yeah.
And watching some of the live from Hopra, some of the old lives, and some of the fast stuff. There are a lot of guys that are racing that look like they're in their late 20s.
Yeah, I did see that too. I noticed that too. There's quite a few, but they're on the East Coast. So
right, but it did look like there was a lot of guys, and that's getting somewhere. Getting guys in their mid to high 20s into their 30s into this. Yeah. That's we're not getting teenagers into it. Like I've been in it my whole life and Shaden too. Yeah. But we're starting to make that trend by getting some of those people that are in their late 20s and early 30s into it.
And it's good to see it too, because especially in today's day and age with video games, and I don't know, there's something about physically touching it and physically doing it, physically working on it rather than it being virtual.
Well, and it's more rewarding because it is your legitimate cognitive skills.
Yeah.
Being put to something, and the sense of fulfillment, the sense of success that comes along with it can't be matched.
Yeah. So that's a really good thing to see.
Yeah.
Because I did also see a couple that could have been in their late teens too there too. So I heard some voices in the background talking to people, because you can hear voices and talking, and they sounded like a really really young person, like they was in his like maybe 18, 19 kind of thing.
So that was, we talk about that a lot on the channel, but it was really good to see that on the lives, and see that there is hope for the future of the hobby, and that it is growing and growing in the areas that
where it needs to grow. Yeah. And it's good to see other things too, like other companies getting involved and celebrities on the outside getting involved. To be more visible.
Mm-hmm. It getting more exposure.
Yeah, which is what we need. Mm-hmm. It'd be really nice to be able to do stuff like that and bring it to wider audiences and show people that
that this is here, that it exists. It's a wonderful, honestly, and you talk to most people, it's a wonderful way to bond with your children, to bond with your parents. I'm a perfect example of that. This is a wonderful way for me to bond with my brother and my dad, and I'm sure it's a wonderful way that he bonds with us. It's a great way to build relationships and make friends. Because and the competition, there's nothing wrong with competing against friends, and honestly, if anything, it makes friendships stronger.
Well, that too, and it also helps with good sportsmanship. And just in general, being a good person in public. Around groups of people that you may or may not know, or you get to know as the more time you race with them, kind of thing. to be able to do that. So I'm gonna have to make sure the mics are plugged in the next time we do a live.
Yeah, for sure.
But that's kind of what we got. Anything? I know it's kind of summertime. I don't know if a lot of people are out there doing a lot of racing, but hopefully you are. And I know because basically the Hopper Nationals pretty much begins the summer for everybody to have time off. So
yeah, it usually ends the racing season.
Because the Ohio Cup was in May, right? Yeah, if I remember right, first part of May. Or was it the last part of April? Something like that.
I don't know. I wasn't keeping up at that time.
I remember seeing it, but so and then this kind of ends the big. Well, it definitely ends the big races for the year. I know that.
Yeah.
And then we have the summer off, and then
mm-hmm.
most local groups start back up in September because I know the Ferndale guys start back up in September.
Yeah.
We're going to start back up in late September after round 4 of the Hopac race. And then we'll go from, they're getting ready for the fray.
Yeah.
And then go along the other racing series is there. Maybe hopefully get down and run with the Pozar guys a couple of times this winter. If winter permits.
Yeah.
The weather permits.
Most definitely, it'd be nice to see and watch.
So, what's going on with everybody out there right now?
Yeah, I'm sure some of you might be wrapping up your season. I'm just getting started. We don't know of any groups that run through the summer.
Not locally, anyways. Everybody usually takes July and August off.
Usually, when when 1-to-1 racing season kicks off, our season stops. But there is some overlapping. But no, don't really good to see some of the younger people.
Yeah,
racing.
It makes it a good. If we can get some more of that out on the West Coast, would be would be nice. I know there's a few out there, but I'd like to see the counts a little higher. Hopefully, we can bring some new people into our group, and hopefully, maybe they've got sons or daughters or grandchildren.
People, that they can bring in.
They can bring in.
But yeah, no.
But
sorry.
That's gonna be a good thing.
Yeah. And I think the difference again between the East Coast and the West Coast is just with how dense it is over on that side of the country, it's a lot easier to get the exposure.
Yeah, and get word out, especially when you don't have
plus
hobby stores.
Yeah, well, and over there, I mean, they have a lot of people aren't too far away from an actual building that has indoor slot tracks, whether it's 32nd scale or HO.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I know of a town in North Carolina that's got three 32nd scale tracks and 3 buildings in the same damn town within 15 minutes of each other.
Yeah.
So it's a lot more dense over there. It's a lot easier to get the exposure to the younger people. It's a lot easier for somebody to go, I wonder what that place is, and walk in and see it.
Yeah. That's them. I remember seeing we had a post on Facebook recently here locally on Growing Up Yakima. Had a picture of a track that used to be here in town over on 5th and Chestnut. And it was a 32nd scale track. But I had all kinds of people on there were commenting, going, oh, I remember that. And that's what we don't have anymore. You don't, because it's gone so private that nobody sees it anymore. And that's kind of part of our problem, is there isn't a place that you can walk in and, just walk in and see it, because there's no... I mean, we only have one hobby store, and it's a Hobby Lobby, so that's not, and that's not going to work. But also the problem with it is rent these days is so freaking expensive.
Yeah, you think rent on a house is expensive.
outrageous.
Rent
what
on
they
a
want.
commercial building.
It's even worse.
Or even just a small little cutout store, like,
Yeah.
like that e-bike store that was over there.
Oh yeah.
I'm sure rent on that place is outrageous.
Yeah, it would be nice to be able to have something reasonable to have something like that.
Yeah.
That you don't have to make a ton of profit off of to make your rent and power and all that kind of stuff. The people that could
get that exposure.
Yeah, to just walk in and they go, oh, that's cool. I remember those.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Rather than, seeing it online. Seeing it online's cool because I've had several people comment and go, oh, I remember doing that and all that kind of stuff. And it's like, but how are they going to find it within their area kind of thing?
And I think that's what we see a lot on comments and whatnot is the fact that some people, I see so many comments on the lives from Hopac, some of our lives here at home, where people are going, I didn't even know this still existed.
Yeah. And that's because it's gone so to personal people's homes.
It's gone so private that, it went from, like here in town, Cloverleaf, having the tub track out in the mall and all that kind of stuff when you were a kid, that, it's gone so private that so much so that there are people out there that legit believe that it just died and they're just collector items now.
Yeah, but that's not really true. There's still tons of racing and that's the Trans Am
from Mid-Ohio. Ooh, we need to put that up there when we're done.
But so it would be nice to have a commercial place to be able to give it more exposure.
Aside from just the YouTube channel.
Yeah, just the YouTube channel because it works great, but it's
no, don't get us wrong. This is
it's ready to get the exposure out, but then it's hard for people that find it on YouTube and to find it locally to be able to do it themselves.
Seeing it online on YouTube compared to physically walking in somewhere is a very different animal.
Yeah.
And then finding it on YouTube, that gets them interested.
Yeah.
But then where do they go to try and entertain that interest?
Yeah. And then they if they don't find anything or if it's too hard for them to find it, they just lose interest in it and they move on to the next one.
Right.
That's the hard thing about it. The other thing is that you might be able to find slot cars through a radio control place.
Oh yeah.
At a race like that or something, because it kind of crosses over a little bit. A lot of people that do RC race slot cars
know about slot cars.
So there might be something there that you could do to find a place to race, or a lot of diecast collectors are that way too. But if you've got a diecast collecting group, maybe you can kind of get involved in that. Especially if you are a diecast collector, but then you might find out, oh hey, they race slot cars as well. So
so that's the goal here, to help get the exposure for the hobby, and then help try to guide those who want to find more. Always educating ourselves on new groups and new events happening to try and point you guys, our viewers, to those events and those groups to try and get you involved if you want to be. We see it all the time. We're constantly educating ourselves on those things to try and help you guys out. It's our mission.
To get you to where you can actually participate and have fun and all that good stuff. And that's the main point, is to have fun.
Yes.
Because if
have fun and make friends.
Yep. And especially when you're doing something together, the friendship seems to be more real, I guess you would say.
Most definitely.
Because especially if you're helping each other out to get your car right or that kind of stuff, it really seems to help.
Strengthen the bond, most definitely.
Yeah. Why am I not getting any comments here?
Your old phone is dying.
I know. Yeah. I know. I want a tablet, but I can't find them anywhere.
Get an iPad.
Yeah. I'm not a big Apple person.
That makes sense. That's fine. But yeah, so.
You guys got any questions out there? Technical questions? Chassis questions? Whatnot?
No. Yep. Give you the best information we can on your questions. On any questions you have about Hoper Nationals, if you don't know what it is or didn't know what it was until today, and we started talking about it.
They've got a lot of classes there, though. So
yeah,
if you kind of look around, if
options.
you're in central part of the United States, there's Hoper groups all over the joint. I mean, St. Louis, up into Wisconsin, they got them all over the place. So you guys could probably find one, find the groups on Facebook, and most of them have a Hope. HOPA within their name, because I know the St. Louis group is HOP-STL. So, but there's quite a few. You're gonna have to look at that because I'm not getting the comment here.
How many cars do you bring to the races?
Well, our group we have 7 total classes within our points series, and we run 3 classes a weekend. One of them is a IROC race, so we don't have to have cars for that, and we run 2 other cars during that race weekend. Hope Pack is a 1 car 1 make race series, so we're only running 1 car there. And if we go with Fozar, they usually run 4, 5. 4. 4 classes in their weekend, and they're usually a box stock or a
slightly modified.
Slightly modified, which means basically you can run any rear tire and hub and independent front end, but everything else has to be stock.
They've got. I don't know if they run it now, but I know they used to. They do have a class where they allow gear ratio.
I know they've made a couple of comments where they're going to change a couple things. They were going to send out questionnaires to everybody and ask about what classes they want to run, kind of thing. So they're starting to kind of get that, and they do have a amateur run that they run as well. So
yes,
but we probably run 10 different cars throughout the winter. Basically.
And then Hope, they're at the Nationals, what you said they had.
I think it's roughly about maybe 10 different classes. Pretty close to that. Maybe 9 or 10 different classes.
Yeah, that's a lot of racing to be.
That is a lot of racing, especially in
a lot of information to take in and
yeah, and especially if you're going from like a T-Jet to Gravity to a Neo car. I mean, that's some quick changes between lap times.
Yeah. Oh yeah, quick change. You gotta be an adaptive driver.
Yeah. Because I noticed I was watching the Neo Magnet class, which is I think they have a super modified, which is going on right now, but the Neo is almost right up there, and they were turning a 2.3 lap time on a track that's probably 14 feet long by 5 feet wide.
Yeah, that's Beast 1624 says just got home, finished racing in Greenville, Texas.
Cool.
Yeah, very cool. What were you racing? What? Who's the group you're racing? Let's see if we know them.
Yeah.
That is a wonderful question.
You know what? That's been a topic that we've come up with and talked about several times. I do believe that it does to a certain extent.
Yeah, I believe, especially when you start getting up into the magnet cars.
Yeah, you up the higher up cars.
The really fast cars. Just because, and Jay, we'll get to yours after the dudes here. The dudes is a really fascinating question. Yeah. Just because they're small doesn't mean that there's not any air in the area that they're racing.
And when you feel the super fast cars, you can feel them go by.
You can feel the air come off of them. You know, and especially if you got hair on your hands or whatever.
Yeah.
You can feel
that
the
car
air
goes by
as the car goes by. So when it comes to getting up into those faster cars, like the BSRTs last year that we were running, and even this year because they're faster.
They're faster too.
And then most definitely those Neo-Magnet
cars,
the Supers, the Pros. And no, I would definitely say that they do. I think they do. If you can feel the air coming off
there's a bit of an aerodynamic thing going there. Yeah. And then
I don't believe it could go as far as implementing aerodynamic downforce.
No, but
drag is definitely a factor.
And you do notice, if you've been racing slot cars for a while, you do notice how bodies handle, and it's not really an aero thing as it is to a balance thing.
Balance of weight,
so
and height, and
height, weight, overhangs front and rear have a lot of effect on a car. So, but once the higher up you get, you do feel it, and like you said, it's not really downforce per se from the wind, but I think it does have a little bit to do with there may be certain bodies may have more drag than others. Like the 917s we're running in Hopac this year, I think have a lot less drag than say the GT40s we ran last year.
Mm-hmm. Most definitely. So I don't think it plays such a large role that you honestly have to worry about drag as a factor, but I would say that they do experience slot cars do experience aerodynamic qualities.
They do.
They do experience drag. And to a point, maybe they do experience downforce.
A little bit,
I don't think it actually do anything.
No, especially when you're doing really high-end magnet downforce kind of things.
Yeah.
The magnets would outweigh any aero
yeah.
that you would get through a body.
Yeah, most definitely.
Yeah, because it would be, especially when you're getting up into the polymer magnet kind of stuff. What was the other question?
Jay asked, it seems the 4-year from Auto World are dropping in quality. Thoughts?
Yeah, but also on the fact that, I mean, straight out of the package, yeah, we'll give you that. But
straight out of the package on any of Auto World's pre-built stuff.
Yeah, is kind of, but
it's pretty bad.
You can make them better by doing things that we do to a T-jet kind of thing, like pinning the axle holes, that sort of stuff. You can improve them. You can't use the stock axles in them because they're ribbed, and as soon as you push that back through the axle hole, it's going to widen it back out again.
Yeah.
But you can change the axles and stuff in them if you're not running off a stock to make them tighter. But I also noticed that the gear quality a little bit is getting
horrible.
kind of bad. And I got a funny feeling that's because they're still using the same molds that they've been using, and that's going to make the quality continue to. The more you use the molds, they're going to get worse and worse. So they're going to have to change they're going to have to change their molds here soon to get that back.
Yeah, but I honestly, if we're being honest, out of the package, most of Auto World's stuff is pretty bad. They're not as ready to run as the package suggests. But as our previous class, for those who are longtime watchers, the Auto World Ultra G Thunderjet class, you can do a lot of work to them, and they can be nice cars.
Yes, they can be.
They can be nice cars if you have the know-how and the skill to work on them and work them into a better car.
Yeah.
But straight out of the package, they're not as ready to run as they look.
Yeah, no, they wouldn't be too impressive to like a newbie right out of the package, and then that's kind of that kind of works against the hobby a little bit. I mean, if you're just getting into it and you don't know anything about them and you just saw them and you got into it, but you don't know that the ones you may see on YouTube being run by other people have actually been worked on. Those aren't straight out of the package.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
You know, and if I were to give anyone any piece of advice on making an Auto World car better out of the package, is go online, search up HO slot car oil, and buy the first thing that comes up, and put that underneath the gears.
Clean it, get all that grease that they put in it. Get all that grease
take it apart. Get all that grease out of there that they put in it. It's only going to make it slower.
Yeah, it got a lot of drag.
Yeah, get yourself a very low viscosity oil. I mean, you could probably get 0-10 weight at AutoZone. Put it in a little dropper bottle and put that underneath the gears and on the axles, and it will drive
way better,
so much
way
smoother.
Yeah, because that grease they use has a lot of resistance.
Yeah, well, and it's got a lot of resistance, and then it sits in a package
for who knows
how long
before it actually gets purchased.
That gives the oils a chance to dry out, and then it just leaves the wax from the grease.
Yeah.
So any piece of advice that I can give you on an Auto World 4-gear, inline, Ultra G, Super 3, whatever it is, take it apart, get that shipping grease off of it, and put a low viscosity oil on it. It will do wonders.
Yeah. So we're gonna be running the Auto World X tractions in our series this year, replacing the Thunderjets. So
yes, keeping up with the Auto World theme.
So you guys can follow along there. The video last week that came out of me putting the pit kit together, and then we're going to continue to work on tuning that car. So those are some videos you guys can watch too that'll help you guys out with the Auto World kind of stuff.
Yeah.
They have come out with some beautiful bodies here lately, though.
Yes.
I think they're knocking it out of the park with like the Z looks really good. The 510s.
Yes, the 510s, the new 240 that they made, that Corvette.
The Corvette that's in the pit kit.
That's a good body. I've not seen it on a car yet.
Neither have I.
But if they make it as low as they made the Z and the 510s, it'll be good body.
And the Capri, the Rally Capri that they did.
Oh, the Ford.
That's a good. They did a good job on that one. That's a good one
too. Yeah. So their body quality is most definitely going up.
They're probably
it's nice to see.
Yeah, I'd like to see that. Like I said, I'd like to see them improve their chassis quality a little bit.
Yes. Yeah,
but
most definitely.
I don't know if that's going to happen with. You gotta think of the price point. I mean, they're $20 cars. They're $13 pit kits. You're paying, you're not paying $25, $30 for.
Yeah, and so you are, with the Auto World cars, you are paying a little bit for what you get.
Yeah.
But at the same time, a little bit of tweaking goes a long way for those cars.
Yeah, it does. A little bit of tweaking here and there, cleaning it, putting the right oil in, it'll make it really much better. And running, if you can get a hold of some Magna Traction. Which you can get from Jag Hobbies, a Magna Traction silicone tire other than the rubber tire helps out a lot too.
It helps out a lot too. And then if you start if you go as far as to getting into pickup shoe setup and tensions and all that kind of stuff,
that helps out a lot too.
It'll be a beautiful car by the end of it.
Yeah.
I've got one over there that I built that an X Traction that's absolutely
there was a pit kit one. Yeah, his runs really, really well.
Beast got back to us, said he was racing with Thor, Texas HO Racing.
Okay, I know who that is. Yep.
Magnet class Super G Tyco Lifelike with Indy bodies. Beast 1624.
Oh yeah, I know. Okay, yeah. Sorry, I didn't recognize you there for a second. So, Super G. Oh, with Indy bodies. Okay, so how Is that can't be stock because I do not see a lifelike keeping up with a Super G. Maybe.
Depending on the modifications.
Sush.
Sorry, folks. Depending on the modifications you allow with the lifelike.
Yeah, lifelike. Out of the 3 choices you got there, Beast, I would go with a Super G.
Yeah. Unless he's saying they were racing magnet class. No, it sounds like he's saying you're racing them together.
You can, depending on the rule set.
I mean, Super G and Tyco, sure.
They're fairly close.
If you find a really good set of Tyco stock magnets.
Yeah, and a big tire setup.
A good tire setup.
They can run with each other.
Setup. They can run
with each
I can see that.
Yeah.
But a lifelike, I think you got to get really lucky with a lifelike to get.
Yeah.
Well, on top of that, getting a lifelike Indy body.
Yeah, those are hard to come by.
Yeah.
I have one that I had to reglue the rear wing on that I got out from somebody. But
that red and white Rocore one.
Yeah, that's the lifelike one.
Yeah, those are hard to come by.
Yeah, they are. They're not easy to get a hold of.
And then the dude came back and said part of the fun for the hobby is tweaking the car to make it better.
Yep, that is true.
That's a large part of the fun, in my opinion.
That is true. Yeah, you got a point there. Everything, even the Mega Gs you get out of the package still need to be tweaked and tuned a little bit to make them handle well and to run well.
Yeah. Well, and when you start getting competitive with your slot car racing, tuning is just a part of trying to find the edge over your competitors.
Yep. That's all. It's all about the tuning when it comes to racing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rulers Council, where are you guys at, Hope Nats? No, unfortunately.
No.
We would love to be.
The Hope Nats were in Ohio and we're in Washington.
No,
so.
it was just the topic of today's.
We would like to be there. That's our goal to get there one of these days.
Yes, one year. You will see content at Hope Nats from Slot Car Crazy.
Yeah.
We don't have a date. We don't have a plan in the books. But we have the plan to get there and produce content for you guys one year.
Yeah. Hopefully we can get there. For the week.
Okay, he got back. Beast said, today we had no lifelikes, all Tyco and Super Gs.
Oh, okay.
Only upgrade was to rear tires.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so
that's
rear tires and then tweak tuning.
Yeah.
So I can see that. I can see that if you get a really nice set.
You can get a really nice 440 car to run really well.
Yeah, you can.
Yeah.
440 though.
440.
Was it 440s or 440
Well, no, they did
X2s?
4X2s. They were 440X2s, but
maybe X2s.
I always just said 440 because everybody knows.
They made IndyCar bodies for the wide pan.
No, it would be
a 440.
They made X2s.
They made narrow X2s.
They made narrow X2s.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Because the
Lambo
Lambo body fits a narrow chassis.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
All right,
All of the Indy cars and X2s are narrow chassis when you buy them.
Okay. All right. I need to educate myself a bit more.
Well, he's not very educated on the Tyco side of things.
No. I do tuning. I do racing. I do race coaching.
Yeah.
I'm in that area.
I'm more the
history
side of things.
Yeah, most definitely. He's the one I go to. He's the one I direct all those questions to for you guys. Is the history stuff. I go to him for that. Because he grew up with it.
I grew up with that. Yeah.
I grew up with it, but you grew up with everything.
I lived
that
through
is
it when
now
they first
history.
came out.
Yes,
yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you're the better person. You have 57 years of built up knowledge.
Yeah.
Where you are in it.
Granted, I had to learn some of the in between stuff when I was a kid and when I stopped and when I got back into it, kind of thing.
Well,
yeah. But yeah.
There's a slot car room is with us.
Yeah.
Always appreciate Jeffrey Eater. Always appreciate your videos, Aurora Freak since 1967.
Yeah, thank you.
Nice.
We try to do our best, especially when it comes to technical building kind of things.
Yeah. Main bodies are up $8 ones from Extreme 3D Customs.
Oh,
They're
okay.
Fantastic. I'm gonna have to check them out. Extreme 3D
I
Customs.
think I've seen some of their
Yeah.
stuff. I think I've seen some of their stuff.
Yeah, 440 X2s. They were fairly even. Okay.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, I guess that does make sense because I don't know now. Now when going back and racing that Super G Plus I have in there is kind of disappointing. But I guess the last time I ever raced one competitively is when I was a kid.
Yeah.
And we've all everyone has been at that point where when you're a kid everything seemed so much faster, and then one morning you woke up and
and then you've moved on to something else.
It wasn't fast.
It wasn't
anymore.
fast. Yeah. Well, especially after running the BSRT G3s last
year. I guess that's why I see the Super G Plus the way I do now is rather disappointed in the one that I have because
back in the day though those things were quick.
Yeah.
Especially if you had the older dot traction magnets on it because those were
they were Neo.
No, they weren't Neo. I think they were just better.
Or they were polymer at least. I think
so, but they kind of turned away from that for price issues. I think when they in the later cars.
No, yeah. So I guess it's just that whole being a kid and seeing it the way you see it as a kid, and then you move on to something else or something faster, and you go back and you're like, what the hell?
Yeah, what this?
I guess that's just where I'm at. But then again, I've got. It might just be that car because I've got that 440.
That 440,
that thing's quick. Fucking fast.
Yeah, you got that car running really quick.
So yeah, I don't know, but
I wish Jim would have ran that this year.
I know. After all the fucking money I spent on that
one. Dang it, Jim!
Yeah, I spent a lot of money on that car, only to fucking run it one more time. I think.
Yeah. Well.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
It is what it is. Oh. You know, with all the comments we've got and all the watchers we've got, I'd say this has been a fairly successful debut premiere for the Idler Gear Hour.
We'll probably go a little longer here.
Oh, yeah.
But we'll see if anybody else has any more questions or anything. But that was something we've done that before, I think, but it wasn't with IndyCar bodies. Because we ran the first 3 seasons of our series, we ran a magnet class. Yeah,
just a generalized magnet class.
Yeah, and I think
I ran a Mega G for a while. I ran it with that Peugeot body until the
I ran a Mega. Yeah,
fucked.
Yeah,
fucked. Yeah,
but
it was fast.
I think that was kind of because that was just a stock class with any rear hubbing tire. Yeah. So I won that class the first year, I think, with a Mini G. So
yeah,
GT40 body.
Yeah, Stan ran an SRT turbo. I think I ran an SRT turbo one season.
Yeah, the SRT turbo.
Those are good cars.
Those were good cars.
Those
were good cars. Good downforce and quick cars.
Yeah, I loved I raced that SRT, that original one that I got that one year for my birthday. I ran that car until it died. The comm plate peeled off.
Oh, yeah.
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 That car was fast. I raced that one for quite a while in that class.
Yeah, you did. I mean, I've got one that I've raced so much that and put so low of tires on it that it scraped the holder for the magnet enough that the magnet actually came out of it.
Yeah.
The traction magnets actually came out of the back of it.
They're race cars, man. We treat them like it.
Yep. So I think that's. I mean, I understand the collecting side of it, but the racing side of it is so much more fun.
There's a better use for them than collecting them.
Yeah. I mean, I can understand collecting certain ones,
certain chassis, certain cars, most definitely.
Yeah, but
and I'd say G pluses are getting to that point.
G pluses, they're getting.
It's a little dangerous to be racing them. But
especially if it's a blue body.
Yes, but you can still find SRT turbos, Super G pluses. You can still find those new in the package pretty easily.
Yeah, and
they're getting more spendy.
They're getting a little more spendy. The chassis themselves are still fairly reasonable if you can buy it just chassis only.
Oh yeah.
They're still fairly reasonable, and then the body can be whatever you want to put on it. That'll fit the wheelbases.
You know what's amazing to me to think about is how old the Tyco 440 X2 is, but how still plentiful they are. You can get a brand new one for quite cheap now.
Yeah.
It just goes to show how mass-produced Tyco made them.
The 440 Magnum, I think, first came out in the late 80s. And then the 44X2 came out mid-early 90s, I think. And then by the late 90s, it was owned by Mattel. Yeah. And then it went into the 2000s. And then I think like 05, 06, 07 is when Tyco finally, or when Mattel finally stopped selling them, I think. What's this one? What's the year on this one? Oh, this is 2000. That one's a 2000.
But yeah, no, you can find, I mean, the one I found that I raced in our non-magnet class, and then I upgraded, and it's my current.
It's the one that the
one that I 40 on.
Yeah.
That one was new when I bought it, and I got that car for like $14.
Yeah, so they are still, it's fairly plentiful and fairly reasonable.
Yeah, they're I mean, some of them are, what, close to 40 years old now?
20, well, yeah, from the 80s, if they're like the original first editions of 440 XTs.
Yeah, and you can still find them for cheap, and and that's the funniest thing to think about, is how extremely mass-produced the Tyco 440 X2 was.
Yeah.
If you compare the Tyco's quality off the line compared to Auto World's quality off the line, and a Tyco will beat it all day long.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it did kind of fall off a little bit when Mattel took over.
Yeah.
But they're still really good cars.
Yeah. The dude asked, is SRT Turbo and Tomei Turbo the same thing?
They're close.
Tomei Turbo is the SRT's predecessor.
Yes.
The SRT is basically a more powerful, faster version of the Tomei Turbo, right?
The motors in them, I believe, are the same. But the gearing in the SRT is different, and it has a stronger traction magnet.
Yes, a much stronger traction magnet.
Yeah. So same chassis. The chassis are exactly the same. It runs the same pickup shoes, the same pickup shoe springs. I believe they have the same wheels and tires on them.
Yeah.
But the pinion and the ring gear on the axles were a different tooth count. And the traction magnets were stronger.
Yeah, I know the SRT turbo traction magnets were polymer magnets.
Yeah, and the
turbos
were straight regular magnets. What are they? Carbon. No, not carbon.
Not carbon. Ceramics.
Ceramic.
They were regular ceramic magnets.
Yeah, but the chassis were slightly different where the traction magnet was.
Yeah, because of the size of the polymers were so much smaller.
They were smaller. But outside of that, the chassis are exactly the same.
Yeah.
But they also have the same. They also have the same weak points.
Yeah.
Where the rear wheel and tire clipped in, and right where the guide pin snaps in, sometimes breaks between.
Yeah, but God, the turbos were good.
And they did have both a wide pan and a narrow pan Tomei Turbo SRT. Because
I don't think I've ever seen a narrow pan in person.
The narrow chassis didn't have they were pretty much the same, but the full bodies have tabs.
Yeah.
Where the IndyCar body didn't. It had the insets.
Right, the insets like the Super Gs.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
But they did make both styles. For a full body and for an IndyCar body.
We've got Jay here commenting saying he lives in Shasta Lake, California and plans to participate in our league. That's a hell of a drive.
We'd love to have you.
Is all I've got to say. But we would love to have you.
Yeah.
And if you can't get anything together now, we have enough to support you once or twice while you jot down everything you need and see it in person. And seeing it in person the first time always helps you understand what to get.
Yeah, when you're actually physically talking to everybody. We'd love to, if you can make the drive up, and we'd love to have you.
Yeah.
We'll be announcing the schedule for that here and classes and all that stuff probably here real soon.
And we plan on trying to get at least 2 summer races in.
We're going to have 2 testing tunes. hopefully here. We got to schedule that out. We'll have one next month and one in August, hopefully. Not sure whose tracks they're going to be at yet, but.
Yeah. Welcome, U of M. Good to see you.
Yeah, welcome. You're always here. Thanks for showing up.
Thanks for showing up. Carl, good to see you. Don't think I've ever seen you on the stream.
Yeah.
Very nice. Good to see a new face. Yeah, U of M. We started this stream off talking about the Hooper Nationals, just talking about some of the guys that we know that we have raced with at the Prey and how they did, and about how watching the stream for the Hooper Nationals, we saw a lot of younger guys, late 20s, early 30s, participating in some of the faster stuff.
Yeah.
Which was good to see, and how it gives us a little bit of hope for the future of the hobby.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then we've just been talking about some random things after that, but to give you the main point of today's stream. And of course, you can always go back and watch if you're curious. But it's good to see you on the stream. Oh, he says at least one race. He has family in Washington.
Oh, cool. All right, cool. Yeah, be on the lookout. Hopefully you're on the Facebook group. We have a Facebook group for Central Washington Championship Series.
Yes.
So, well, it's not. It's under our group's name, which is HO Race or Central Washington HO Racers.
Yeah.
But the schedule will be posted there, so you can kind of coordinate. And then if you need to, you can contact me through that group to find out address and
and if
whatnot.
we have a summer race, we'll make sure that we get plenty of notice out.
And those will probably be posted on that page as well. We'll post it.
Yeah, we'll try and get plenty of notice out for that.
Yeah.
So that we can get as many people to come and hang out and
just
test
and tune and talk and you can
and
find out.
We will probably do one or two organized races.
Yeah. While we're there.
Yeah. Just kind of bullshit, choose a class, set it up in the computer and just run it.
Yeah, just have fun.
Just to have fun, just to get some competition in, just to scratch an itch for some of us.
Yeah, since some of us have been off since May.
Yeah. Well, no, since
me since May, because me and Shaden went to the Hopac.
I've been off since the end of our
season. Yeah, which was April.
Oh man, I do tell you, I've got an itch. Yeah, no, it was definitely good to see some younger faces racing, and of course, we saw them up in the fast cars. I and younger people, we still got good reaction times and eyes, and I'm not saying anything against you at all.
No,
or
just
anybody else. It just happens.
I don't
that
think
way.
I can. BSRTs, I think I can handle. I do occasionally lost my car with those at Hopac, but I think that's probably about the fastest I would be able to handle. I don't think I'd be able to do like Neo.
Yeah.
I would lose. I think I'd lose my car too much.
Carl says the hobby has really been welcoming and seems like a great group of folks.
Oh,
yeah.
I say that all the time.
That is the goal.
I say that all the time. There's a lot of great people in this hobby, and there's a lot of great people that'll help you, especially if you're physically there at a race.
Yeah.
I mean, even at the fray, they're willing to.
There's, and in my opinion, in most oftentimes than not, you can get into contact with one guy, not even the head guy, just somebody who participates. He'll give you the address and you can show up there and somebody will give you what you need to run.
Yeah.
They're not going to do it every single time you come, but the first time or the second time you're guaranteed that they're going to try and get you on the track because they want you to participate.
Yeah. And RC's also really good about, especially if you contact him, he's really good about helping out if you have questions or whatnot. RC from Wizard.
U of M says all of us old collectors start dying off, prices will drop because the young guys don't want all the vintage stuff.
But the vintage stuff's the greatest stuff.
Yeah,
it amazes me how much the auto world stuff sells for. Because it's just like the AFX, the GT40s. how much the GT40s are worth, and those cars aren't even that old.
They're not that old, and they're everywhere. You can find they're easily found in bought.
Well, that and the Mark IV is starting to get expensive too, and it's only been out for like 3 or 4 years.
Well, no, the Mark IV was expensive right off the
bat. It was, and it's kind of come down a little bit. But
well, it was a normal price from AFX in the start.
Yeah.
But it got expensive because everybody bought the shit out of them and resold them at a higher price.
Yeah.
On eBay.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's just and some of it, a slight price hike is warranted because of the history of that race car in real life.
Yeah.
Right. But at the same time, buying out stock to price gouge.
Now I can understand.
Is not the spirit of this hobby.
I can understand with a couple of because I know there's a couple of the Mark IVs that are special edition collector, hobby store only kind of things. Which I understand that one, but just the regular like the yellow one and the red one.
Yeah.
I'm like, those things are.
Yeah.
Expensive.
It's ridiculous how expensive some of those GT40s and the Mark IVs
I know.
are, and how much people try to sell them for online when you can go to most online hobby shops
and
now
buy
one at retail price.
Yeah.
And you've got red ones and yellow ones, and God forbid you try and find a black GT40 on eBay.
Oh yeah, those are outrageous.
Yeah. I've looked. It's insane what people want for them.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And not only that, but they're bringing that body back for the Mega G Plus. They've brought it back for the Mega G Plus.
Yeah.
So you can buy them again at retail price.
Yeah, from the Mega G to the Mega G Plus.
So they've been out since what, the Tomei Turbo? They started.
No, they were Mega Gs. They made them for the Mega G. So, but that was.
Well, they made them for the Tomei Turbo SRT.
Oh, they were. They were on the SRT first.
Were they on the Tomei Turbo?
I don't remember being on the Turbo.
But the SRT.
They were on the SRT. I think that's when they first came out with them, and then they came out with them in the Mega G, and then they come out with the Mega G Plus.
So they've been the prices on those cars is it's ridiculous.
There's some things like that are just crazy. Some of the Auto World stuff I've seen when they've been buying it and reselling it on. I mean, it's a $20 car, and they're selling them for $60-$70 on eBay.
Yeah.
It's just crazy.
It just goes to show you the very tip of the iceberg amount of research that on the hobby.
Yeah.
That those people have done.
Yeah. They just see the price. Oh, I'll go buy some of those and sell them, and they're not really.
Yeah, they think
they're not part of the hobby really.
They think it's such a niche market that they can price gouge for it. When in fact, HO racing and collecting racing is bigger than collecting in my opinion. But it's a lot bigger than a lot of people realize. It just shows the tip of the iceberg research that some of those people have done. If you really dig, you gotta really dig, but you can still find some of that stuff at a reasonable price.
Yeah, and if you just kind of cruise the internet and look at different hobbyist websites and stuff and whatnot, you can find them for a reasonable price. Well, that's just like a while back, I think it was, somebody was selling off a bunch of stock and they were selling the GT40 like, what was it, like $35 or $25 a car?
I saw that.
I can't remember who that was, though. I can't remember if that was Jag Hobbies or if that was somebody else.
I came across that.
So I mean, there you go, right there.
Yeah. Back on our topic of showing up and being given what you need. Beast 1624 said they have 2 groups in North Texas, Thor and Tascar, and we tell people just to show up. Yeah. Got plenty of controllers and cars. That's something I'm trying to get to be is that being able to be that person that tells them, I just show up. I'll give you a car and a controller.
Yeah.
You'll have fun. Now I have an extra controller.
Well, we've got Shaden's blue one too. This other blue one that we can.
And I've got some extra cars, but and that's the spirit of the hobby. It is just inclusion.
Yeah, and then they can eventually, hopefully, get what they need if they want to get more involved
I think
in the
Jag
hobby.
answered what we were just talking about.
Around Christmas, Jag. I thought it was Jag Hobbies. I remember seeing that they were selling off a bunch of stock. They have overstock.
Yeah, yeah. I've seen people pay top dollar in auction for cars still available at the hobby shop.
Yeah. I'm like, what the hell? What are you doing?
It shows you the limit, that tip of the iceberg research that the seller and the buyer did.
Yeah. Because the buyer's just buying it. And then half the time they're just doing it to have it as a collector's item.
Right, because and just because something is going for top dollar doesn't mean it's worth
that
top
much.
dollar.
You're not gonna. That car might not be worth that 10 years.
Oh no, definitely not.
Depending on
granted,
depending on what it is. If it's a rare car that they didn't produce a lot of, then yes. But I mean, I've got like 1, 2, 3, 6, 7, 8. I got like 8 cars in the package right now, sitting up on my wall over here between Mega G's, a couple of Mega G Pluses, a couple of 440s. But if I need those cars, I would open them.
Right. All except for the Bob Beers edition.
Well, yeah, the Bob Beers one will never be opened because it's the Bob Beers limited edition one. I bought it straight from him and he signed it for me.
Yeah.
So,
that one is a valid collector.
That's
item.
a valid collector's
item.
item. Especially the way I got it, because I know he did some of those where he actually sold them signed. But I actually got it from him when he was here, and he actually signed it for me in person. So
in your garage.
In my garage. So that one's never getting opened. Yeah. So that's a true collector's item.
That's a true collector's item.
Yeah.
That will go up in price.
But yeah, I won't open that one at all. No. And I'll probably never get rid of it either.
And I'll never sell it either when that time ever comes.
But any of those other cars up there, if I need them for a car that I need to do a build of, I'd open them.
Yeah, same here on the Bob cars when he came through.
Yeah,
here.
That was fun.
Yeah, that's one that that he'll have forever.
Yeah.
But no, it's hilarious seeing people pay top dollar on eBay for Auto World cars.
Yeah.
And I mean, just look at the sheer amount of Auto World cars that Stan has alone.
I know. And he's bought those at retail price at
Hobby Lobby.
Hot Lobby.
Stan will just go into Hobby Lobby, see one you like, and take it off the shelf and go home with it.
Yeah.
And if he needs it, he'll open it. But yeah, it's the difference between the people who are on the tip of the iceberg of this hobby and people like us who are way down at the deep.
Way deep into it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
That are in the rabbit hole. That
have
been exploring the rabbit hole for a while.
For a long time.
Yeah.
Shit, I remember when you could buy T-Jets for $12 off of eBay.
You know what? I am old enough to remember that as well.
I know.
On HOslotcarracing.com, you could buy them for $12.50 full chassis.
Yeah. Now they're $60, $70 a pop.
Yeah. Oh no. Aurora, trying to get a hold of an original Aurora T-Jet now is insane. And there's people out there that still have cases of them.
I want to know where all of Breadwell's stuff went.
I wish.
I'm pretty sure they still have it all. I don't think they've done anything with it. Unless Dawn's doing something, Jump's doing something with it. But yeah, it's just crazy how... And I was looking, because this week's bi-weekly featured car is going to be a Tyco US1 trucking car, because I've got some. I was on eBay looking at them yesterday. That stuff is insanely expensive.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I mean, you're looking at, especially if it's a rare car like the red dump truck, because it wasn't a set car, it was a package car, and the package cars didn't sell a lot. That's like $70-$80 for in the package for one of the red dump trucks. And if you want to go with the GI Joe Army dump truck, it's even worse.
Dang.
So it's amazing. But that stuff's legit, because that stuff only lasted, I think, about 5 years.
Oh yeah.
From from 82 to about 85, 86, I think.
Yeah.
And then they stopped making them.
The U.S. trucking sets, I'd say, were a really niche kind of.
They kind of were.
They were a mix between like HO trains and slot cars.
Yeah.
And it was cool and weird at the same time.
The same time.
You know,
it's kind of like what happened with the lane changing HO slot cars, because that was kind of a niche.
Oh, the accelerators?
The accelerators, the speed steers, the Ultra 5s, the TCR cars. Yeah, they were
mixed
kind of a
between radio control and slot cars.
With today's technology, if somebody out there in the slot car world could come up with it, it would be really easy nowadays to do a slotless, lane changeable slot car.
Oh yeah, well there's 1/32.
No, there's 1/32, but that's still a slotted slot car though. There's still a slot for those. Those are still in a slot.
Oh,
it's just got gates to be able to go from lane to lane. Granted, they got to be digital because they're switching from lane to lane, so you got to be able to control them.
Right.
But I think it would be, if Hot Wheels. This is my gist. If Hot Wheels were to take the defunct ID cars.
Yeah, we've been on this before, yeah.
And then take the like Ultra 5s or the Speed Steer cars, which granted were Aurora, and mix those two things together along with their little HO size radio control car.
Yeah.
That it would, and I think you could get small enough to do it digitally with the digital chip in the car. If you could put that little tiny chip in the bottom of a Hot Wheel it's ID, you should be able to put a transmitter, you would think.
Oh yeah, no, most definitely.
I think
some of the stuff in radio control's getting so damn small that you can do that.
Yeah, but granted,
but you
gotta have to have a market for it, and that's probably the downfall of it right there.
Not only that, but once you start implementing steering into slot cars, you're starting to really play with that line between radio control and slot car racing.
Yeah, you're true there.
Now, taking the idea that Hot Wheels had with the ID cars for timing purposes,
that could
take slot cars in
a
direction
further.
Then the timing systems would get a little
because you could do
less
it through
complex.
You could do it through the app. You could do it through an app on your phone.
Through an app or through a program on a computer.
Yeah.
But if you just put, it would make it to where you could just put a laser line instead of individual lane.
Those things on the ID cars, because they had a track for that, and it had an app for it where you could actually see lap times.
Yeah.
So it actually had sensors in the bottom of the track that the car ran in.
Right.
So that would be cool for slot cars. Would be really neat to be able to do that.
Yeah.
Because you could do intervals, you could do section lap times.
Right.
Would be really cool to do.
It'd be cool, and I guess where this could go is very similar to how 1-to-1 cars do lap times.
Yeah,
they've got a transmitter in the car,
and
technology's getting so good. I really think you could make a transmitter that's small enough and light enough for HO slot cars.
Yeah.
So that you'd be able to eliminate the individual lane counters. And just put a laser on each side of the track. Not a laser, but a receiver.
Yeah.
On each side of the track, so when the cars go through the receiver,
because it'd be like just a wire underneath the track that picks up the signal from each car's.
Or an infrared laser on one side to the other, and when the car goes through it and it catches the transmitter.
Yeah.
Then you get the lap time.
Yeah.
But it would make it to where all of your wiring, you wouldn't have to worry about wiring to the track.
No.
For timing.
Yeah.
It's all external transmitted.
Yeah.
And it would make it to where you could do the gated lane changes in HO like they do in 124 and 132nd scale racing. What do we got?
So, Beast is saying Mattel and Hot Wheels owns Tyco name and patents. I know they still own the patents, but I do believe that Hardin Creek bought the right to the Tyco name recently, about 2 years ago. Same time he bought Lifelike and all the Lifelike stuff. I know he doesn't own any patents for chassis or bodies or anything like that, but I think he bought the right to use the name Tyco. Because if you look at the later Mattel stuff, they dropped the Tyco name off of the later cars.
Did they?
Yeah, because that blue one up there, that it says Hot Wheels, because they rebranded it to Hot Wheels and it just says Mattel.
Mattel wheels, yeah.
Yeah, they dropped the Tyco name towards the latter part of the run. So I think he actually owns the right to be able to use the name Tyco, but I think you're right on all the patents for slot cars and the track and all that. I think Mattel still owns it. The key to slot cars is the slot. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, like we said, you know,
that's true.
When you start implementing steering and slotless and
slot
cars,
you got a point there, UAM.
You start playing with that radio control line.
That would be an awesome HC. Could be something with it.
HC. Do you know what he means?
What are we talking about there, Beast? When you said HC could be something with it? Or on the whole timing system thing that we were just talking about? Might be... Oh, Hardin Creek. Yeah. About the Tyco name.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
I think he does own the right to the name Tyco now. He hasn't used it for anything yet, but I think he owns
he also hasn't used Lifelike yet for anything.
He's not using it a little bit because he's selling some of the Tyco stuff on the website. Because he's doing the bodies, he's doing the Lifelike bodies and stuff and whatnot, but he hasn't come up with anything new per se.
Gotcha.
With the
he hasn't come out with his own chassis, the Lifelike name or the Tyco name.
No.
I gotcha.
No.
I got you. Well, you know, if he ever watches our stuff, I would say that the market is there for new chassis.
Yeah, it is.
Know,
I mean,
people are looking for new things in the hobby, not just to modify old existing things.
It's cool to see. It's cool to see things like Dash, Jag Hobbies coming out with new chassis and everything. Viper is continually developing the Viper chassis. He just came out with a new redesign of the Viper chassis. So
not only does it show growth in the hobby, but it gives us content to review.
Yeah, and it also shows that there's enough there to actually warrant the development of a new chassis. Too.
Yes.
Plus, it helps with 3D printing and all that kind of stuff. Makes it a little easier as well.
Yeah, because you can 3D print your chassis now, or 3D print the chassis and use the 3D printed chassis to make a mold.
Yeah.
You know, and you can use the mold to smooth out some of the 3D printed imperfections and make it stronger. Because if I'm being honest, I don't think 3D printing is at the point of strong enough for a slot car chassis, especially if it's a racing car.
Yeah.
With how much we beat them up.
Yeah, but it's a good way to start for a design. So for fun back in the 80s, we made 4-wheel drive T-Jets.
Oh my gosh. 4-wheel drive T-Jets? How do you do that?
It takes a lot of cutting and epoxying, and because the 80s, you only had epoxy.
Oh, man.
To be able to do it. I've seen some of the interesting 4-gear, I've seen some people do it with Tyco 44X2s, make a 4-wheel drive car.
Yeah, I've seen that.
But with a T-Jet, that's tough because you're working with a pancake arm.
Yeah, you got to get the gear.
So the gearing, you're going center. Yeah, because you're going center, and then you've got, so you're basically got 5 gears because you got the pinion on top of the pancake arm, and then you got the idler gear, and then you've got the drive gears on the outside of that. So yeah, that's a lot of epoxy work between motor plates and chassis.
Yeah, if you're on any of the Facebook pages, John, and you have pictures, I would love to see that. Because that sounds very interesting to me to see.
That's a lot of engineering work on a T-Jet.
Yeah, man.
Because you've got, especially up front.
Yeah, because it ends right there at the wall behind that front magnet.
You gotta still think though. You've also got to have the drive gear, the pinion, pickup shoes, and a guide pin all on the front of the car.
Yeah, and like you got to make sure that your crown gear's gonna work.
Yeah.
That sounds. Yeah, I would love to see pictures if you can post them anywhere.
Yeah.
I'll be looking.
I've seen it done to T-Jets. Yeah, that's a lot of cutting and epoxy.
Man.
To make that work. Nowadays it'd be a little easier if you could figure out how to 3D print the chassis and the motor plate to make it a little easier.
Most definitely.
But back in the 80s, that's a lot of hacksaw and epoxy and all that good kind of stuff.
Oh, man. I've seen some crazy shit posted on. I mean, I've seen people that's done monster trucks and all that. I've seen some crazy stuff made.
Yeah.
For sure. But a 4-wheel drive T-Jet.
Yeah, that's. And were you guys using like the truck tires or the dune buggy tires on them? So you got more.
I'd assume
more traction because
more clearance.
The stock plus the stock T-Jet tires with a 4-gear. I think you're not a lot of grips being had with rubber tires.
That's nuts.
But that also shows you back in the day how cheap freaking T-Jets were to be able to cut them up like
that. Right, yeah. God, you couldn't even fucking think about cutting on a T-Jet now.
Oh, I know. Yeah, you'd be like, I don't want to get that's a $60 chassis right there.
Yeah. Oh, man.
Yeah, that'd be freaking...
Fucking might faint thinking about cutting on a T-Jet chassis.
I know.
So expensive.
Well,
now.
it almost brings me to pains to make a freight car out of them nowadays. They're so freaking expensive.
Yeah.
Like, do I really want to do this?
Oh, man. That's good. That's good.
Yeah, that would be...
Yeah.
But that's a lot of time, too. That takes a lot of time and stuff to actually pull off.
Yeah. Just goes to show what you can do when you really put your mind to using your hands instead of video games.
Yeah.
You can just find me or Troy on Facebook, Troy Osmond or Elijah Osmond if you have Facebook or Instagram. There's no way he can send it through YouTube. Or an email.
Or you can messenger through Messenger.
Facebook Messenger.
Yeah, I can be able to accept it.
Yeah, the WizJet chassis.
Yeah.
WizJets are a blessing to the T-Jet world.
Oh, yeah.
It makes it so much more accessible to build a freight car.
Cheaper, too.
Cheaper, accessible. Plus, right out of the gate,
you got to match motor plate and chassis.
They are usually perfectly matched.
Yeah.
They will make a smooth as glass freight car.
Yeah.
The only thing about it is, at some point soon, within the next 3 years, they are going to have to be legalized for individual competition.
At the Fray, I would, because their Fray is the only T-Jet race I know of that they're not legal in individual.
In individual competition.
Yeah. Everywhere else, the Nationals, they're legal.
Yeah,
the Ohio Cup, they're legal.
I understand the prestige that comes with building an original Aurora fast championship winning freight car.
Yeah.
That prestige can still be held on to with legalizing WizJet.
You're not gonna take too much away from it.
No, you're not, because they're still hard to work with.
Yeah, they still require the same tuning than a stock one does.
Yeah.
But you don't have the expense of trying to match a motor plate to a chassis.
Right.
To make sure the holes all lined up and it's not, twisted. It's a flat chassis.
Yeah.
You don't have to deal with all of that, so you don't have to have like 5 or 6 original T-Jets to be able to do it.
A third of the biggest reasons some of those guys are so fast is already taken care of for you with the WizJet chassis.
Yeah.
You're guaranteed a level, well-made, straight chassis.
Right. So then it all comes down to matching your motor magnets, your pickup shoe setup, and how you how you build your motor plate.
Yeah.
All of that. You know, that it all comes down to that.
It all comes down to that. 1/3 of building a freight car is taken care of for you.
Yeah, yeah. The rest of it's all on
and
you to build
on top of that, you're paying less than 1/3 of the price for.
Oh, it's what, $13 now for a WizJet chassis.
Yeah.
I mean.
Yeah, and whereas it's $60 for a T-Jet chassis, and granted, an Aurora T-Jet chassis comes with all the internals in it, and the WizJet chassis comes empty, but no one ever uses any of those internals on an original Aurora.
No, I mean, you can take the motor and send it to somebody to have it trued and you know, all of that. There's still a price that you got to pay to have it done. So
yeah, with the legalization of Typhoons in individual competition, original Aurora T-Jet motor is scrap.
Yeah, basically, you just throw it away and just throw in either a dash arm or a TFX arm, and you're ready to go.
Yeah, most freight drivers use RTHO gears, so what's the problem with a different chassis?
Yeah, I think it's Phyllis's stubbornness to keep it at original T-Jet. I think that's all it is.
You know, yeah, but legalizing the WizJet for individual competition will make individual a lot tighter for people to get through the ranks.
I think so.
And get into the A. It will challenge these guys who have the disposable income. It'll make it to where people with less disposable income can be more competitive and have a better time.
Yeah. Plus, it brings it. You might even get more people because you've made the individual more affordable.
You've made the fray entirely more affordable by making the individual more affordable.
I would still say that the Blizzard should not be an individual car.
Individual. You know, I don't know where I lie with the Blizzard on team competition. I mean, maybe it is lower, but I mean, racing some of the.
I think if you want to keep it the way it is, I think you should keep it that the chassis has to be of original T-Jet style. So height-wise,
clone. It has to be a perfect clone.
Yeah, so like the WizJet, right. or the original dash chassis without. Without.
U of M says it'll even the playing field, and that is 100% correct.
Yeah.
It will make it to where the people with less disposable income have a chance at the people with the most disposable income.
Because you've dropped the price of a T-Jet with an original chassis built from about $250 to maybe 125.
You know, and you've dropped the price a guaranteed $50.
Well, and then if you're building it yourself, it's dropped it a lot.
Right. And then the largest expense after that is you deciding how many magnets you're going to buy.
Right, yeah.
To match that's all on you.
Yeah, it's all on you, yeah.
But, there was one. John says he does have Facebook. So if you're on the Slot Car Crazy Facebook page, or really a lot of any of the pages on Facebook, we're on most of them.
Yeah.
Post pictures there. And
I think everybody will enjoy it.
Yeah, everyone will enjoy it. Plus, we'll get to see it, John. Yeah, nothing new. Just Beast thumbs up in our conversation. Yeah. I think he agrees.
Yeah.
So.
All right. Well, we've been on for an hour and a half, almost an hour and 45 minutes.
Yeah.
So I think we're gonna close it out for today. I gotta go to the restroom anyways, and be on the lookout for the video tomorrow. And if you didn't catch the one from earlier today, we're finished a paint job on the Lexan body. Go back and watch that, and we'll schedule the next Idler Hour for next month, and we'll see you guys then. And hope you guys continue to have fun and race slot cars and keep the pin in the slot and the wheels on the ground and have fun. So thanks for showing up, guys. We love everybody out there, and we'll catch you guys with the next one. See you later. Love you all.